In this age of social media and instant streaming, everything is being watched and discussed by someone. When a new season rolls around and you look at the inordinate number of new shows, even when scrolling down to see some obscure concepts like Senru Shoujo, where the entire premise is just Kana Hanazawa making cute anime noises, it'll still have a dedicated following who are discussing it, and if a show is awesome enough, more likely than not it'll bubble up to the surface so that even if you don't end up watching it, you're likely to have at least heard of it. But one thing I do miss about the age before is that feeling of discovering a hidden gem. I remember one day I was browsing some random anime forum, back when people still used anime forums, and some user had this signature of an anime I'd never heard of with a name I couldn't even pronounce. Gankutsuou? Gankutsuou. Oh, the Count of Monte Cristo. I've heard of that. However, something about it stood out to me. The art style was really unique and the Count looked like a badass, so just from that one image alone, I decided to give it a watch. It was something I gave a chance on a complete whim, and yet somehow I had discovered some of the best writing this medium had to offer in what is still the best revenge anime I have seen to this day. It was a hidden gem. Even back then, hardly anyone was talking about it, and now pretty much everyone has forgotten it. So today I wanted to talk about an irrelevant show no one is talking about in a time no one is watching it. Gankutsuou, The Count of Monte Cristo is an anime adaptation to the classic story by Alexandre Dumas, The Count of Monte Cristo. It's based on this thing called a heavy light novel, also known as a novel. The original story was written and set in the 1800s, which might be a bit confusing considering this adaptation is set in 5053 space France. But aside from the odd thing like people still using paper letters and not communicating by phones, it actually works because at its core, it's a story that can be appreciated in any time period. This is a tale of revenge, one that blends in corruption, deception, love, aristocracy, naivety, trust, and more. Now when I say revenge, I don't mean a simple straightforward kind of revenge plot like
I am gonna kill Bill.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the brilliance of the plot comes from the complex way the revenge scheme is set up and unfolds, bringing together the abundance of plot threads, conspiracies, and character motivations without ever feeling like any element was tacked on or underdeveloped. You watch as this entity known only as the Count slowly weaves its way into the lives of a varied, colourful cast of characters, unbeknownst to them that a storm of vengeance is about to envelop everyone as the Count leaves a trail of retribution to anyone who has wronged him before. You know how in anime they play off these characters doing these super smart schemes where like these 11-year-olds are playing 5D intergalactic chess with each other, unveiling this epic plan using details viewers would never be able to know, like, aha, you fell for my trap. You fool, that was just part of my plan. I just wanted you to think I fell for your trap. I've been planning this before you even set your trap. Ha! I actually just wanted you to think that I thought that I fell for your trap. I've been planning this since I was a child. Ha 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 ha! Well, guess what, fucker? I wanted you to think that I thought that you thought that I thought that you fell for my trap. I've been planning this before I was even born! And you're just sitting there like, man, when I was 11 I couldn't even calculate 8 times 7 without help from a calculator. I still can't. In Gankutsuou, every detail of the scheme is laid out for you as it happens. There is no big, just according to Keikaku reveal. You are shown all the preparation with or without context. Things happen that don't make sense until 8 episodes later. The entire series is one big plan and you get to see it all unfold piece by piece until you realize that from the very moment you met him, every meticulous aspect had already been planned out by the Count to the most minute of details. And because of this, I would never be able to fully sell to you the true brilliance of this show with how every detail is so intricately woven in together. And that is a fucking accomplishment when you realize just how many characters it juggles. The cast is absolutely massive with enough characters and relationships to keep track of that even a graph wouldn't make this easy. Oh god, what the fuck is this? Yet somehow everyone feels like they bring something and even the minor characters have a chance to shine. Even if individually some characters may come off as annoying or frustrating, they add to the overall dynamic and themes of the plot. But of course, the person that brings it all together is the Count himself. To me, the Count remains one of the most spellbinding characters I've seen in anime. An entity that oozes charisma, commanding an on-screen presence that demands your attention. There's just something mesmerizing about watching him work. He's ruthless, charming, mysterious, and incredibly complex. Driven to a point of obsession, allowing nothing to get in the way to his path of vengeance. And yet, no matter how many people he manipulates or innocent bystanders he uses and gets caught in his crossfire, you can't help but cheer for him. Even Even though we see the story through the eyes of a young boy named Albert, his presence is always felt, like a puppeteer controlling the strings from the shadows, orchestrating the most intricate of plays. But having said that, it does take a bit of time before that play is set in motion. The modern anime climate has conditioned us to pay attention to shows that are fast and hard-hitting, so when I say the first 8 or so episodes can seem a little slow, I can already feel some of you mentally bringing down this title 50 or so places down in your watch list. But trust me when I say that it's worth the payoff. The beginning episodes are definitely slower, but necessary to introduce you to the world, characters, and most importantly, you see the Count setting up the dominoes, putting everything in place piece by piece until the structure is a 10-stack ultimate Jenga world record domino ramp. And he just goes... Every character is a pawn in this giant chess game, every plot point a piece to the bigger puzzle. After a while, the show just reaches this point where the dominoes start falling. Action after action leads to frenzied reaction. Everyone's lives is one by one turned upside down. It's chaos, it's anarchy. And through the turmoil, you watch as the Count plays conductor to this chaotic orchestra as everyone dances along to the beat of his mesmerizing symphony. It's incredibly rewarding. It's one of those shows where you're suddenly on a 10-episode binge and you look at the clock and you're like, shit, it's 4 AM already. Ah, crap, I've got work at 7. Ah, well, 2 hours of sleep is probably enough for basic bodily functions. Of course, it's not perfect. The last half of the penultimate episode robs it from a perfect conclusion. The CG makes today's worst attempt look like a photorealistic prototype render running on the Unreal 10 engine. And as you can see, the unique art style is either a love it or hate it kind of thing, as it looks like someone had a wicked night out, dropped some LSD and passed out in a carpet store. However, I don't think that's enough to take away from the brilliance of the anime that can still be enjoyed by today's standards. I called this my hidden gem, but as coincidental as the situation I discovered it was, it's ironically probably more likely than someone randomly stumbling on it today. Though, I mean, it's still available on Crunchyroll and Funimation for North America, so even if only new shows are promoted on there, people might have still discovered it by browsing through titles alphabetically. Yeah. It's possible. Almost there. It's rare you come across a series that manages to juggle a multitude of plot points, characters, themes, and motivations, weaving it all together in a satisfying way that makes it work, to the point where you finish it and you can't help but marvel at the thought, how the hell did the writer plan all this? Recently I talked about classics and timeless stories, and I don't think there's a more telling indicator that a story has survived the passage of time when it's almost 200 years old. This might not have gone down as an anime classic that the community has remembered, but it is still one of my personal favorites and a show I won't ever stop recommending.